Our top focus this morning is on the latest updates coming in on the LAC disengagement. The completion of disengagement has happened at the Pangong Lake area. India and China today will be holding the 10th round of Corps Commander level talks. That's going to happen at 10 a.m. today. The talks will be held in Moldo near Chushul on the south bank of Pangong. India and China are verifying the disengagement done at the Pangong sector using unmanned aerial vehicles and also using satellite imagery. During the talks, the two countries will work out essentially the modalities for disengagement from friction points in Depsang, Hot Springs and Gogra, where the Chinese continue their presence. A fresh round of talks between the two nations come a day after China's first admission of casualties in the Galwan clashes. Chinese authorities for the first time acknowledged that 4 of its soldiers were killed in these clashes in June last year. China's state-owned media also released what it claimed was their first video footage of the deadly incident. With the first phase of disengagement at Ladakh's Pangong sector, the true disengagement challenge stares at our face. The aggressive Chinese military posture in Ladakh's Depsang remains a steep mountain to climb.
"100% successful. Phase 1 of the India-China disengagement at Ladakh's Pangong sector completed to the satisfaction of both sides. But with decks cleared for the next phase of pullback, the true challenge of the standoff stares us in the face. While the pullback in Pangong, Ladakh has become the face of the de-escalation, the aggressive Chinese military posture 200 kilometers to the north in Ladakh's Depsang area remains the real proverbial mountain to climb. While the 2020 standoff in eastern Ladakh was restricted to the Galwan Valley, Hot Springs, Gogra posts and Pangong So's banks, the Chinese were clearly building up prominently near Depsang in an effort to create a new front. Depsang is a sensitive sector. It was here back in 2013 that the Chinese army intruded several kilometers across the line of actual control into Indian-controlled territory and squatted for many weeks. It took a concerted diplomatic push to dislodge what was then a clear attempt to change the status quo just south of the sensitive Karakoram Pass.
Depsang remains the trickiest because, as Army Commander Lieutenant General Y.K. Joshi told India Today in an exclusive interview, the perception difference in the LAC is maximum in Depsang. At this point of time, we do not have massive troops amassed on either side, but the Chinese patrols prevent the Indian patrols from going up to patrol points or India's claim line, and the Indian patrols prevent the Chinese from going up to their claim line.
Currently, situation is not volatile there. There are no troops, amassed on other side like we were, sitting here on the north bank and south bank, Razangna Chinla. So it has been agreed as one of the friction points, and post the disengagement that is happening now, we will sit down and discuss and resolve that issue as well.
Just months ago, India Today accessed the first clear visual evidence of the Chinese army's concerted mobilization in areas close to Depsang and Daulat Begoldi sectors. Satellite photographs from European space assets contain visible evidence of the Chinese build-up that remains to this day. Depsang has become a sector where the two armies are now deployed in some of the most prominent strength in this standoff, including with tank regiments, motorized columns and artillery. Fresh Chinese deployments near Depsang since late August include an additional artillery brigade, field hospital and a complement of vehicle-mounted tactical communication jammers. While both sides remain on their side of the LAC in Depsang, attempts to block patrols have taken place since late May, with the Indian Army mounting its own localized movements to apply counter-pressure on Chinese patrols. While phase 1 of the Ladakh disengagement will undoubtedly inspire confidence, the disengagement in Depsang could be the true proof of China's pullback pudding. With Gaurav Sawant in Leh, Bureau Report, India Today.
Climate activist Greta Thunberg has tweeted showing her solidarity with the toolkit accused Disha Ravi. Greta in her tweet said peaceful protests and freedom of speech are non-negotiable human rights with the hashtag #StandWithDisha. This as the activist and main accused of the case, Disha, is in police custody since Sunday for allegedly sharing a toolkit on social media. Her bail plea is listed in the Patiala House Court today. On Friday, a Delhi court sent Disha Ravi to 3 days of judicial custody after the police told court that she was being evasive during her previous interrogation and also tried to shift blame on the co-accused of Shantanu Muluk and Nikita Jacob. The police further said that both the accused have been summoned on February 22nd and that the three would then be interrogated together. Let's also get you the updates on the Unnao case. In a big breakthrough in the murder of 2 girls in Unnao district of Uttar Pradesh, the UP police have arrested 2 people, including a minor. According to the police, the accused Vinay has confessed to his involvement in the crime. It's been revealed that Vinay befriended one of the 3 girls who is currently undergoing treatment in Lucknow. He confessed his love for the girl. She didn't reciprocate his advances. Out of anger, this jilted lover then offered a bottle of water that was laced with pesticide to the 3 girls in the field. The intended target survived. Her 2 nieces, unfortunately, died after consuming the adulterated water. The family, however, has again cried foul play in the deaths. The mother of the deceased has alleged that the clothes of both the girls were torn while their hands and neck were tied with dupattas.
What happened exactly in the case? Do you believe the case, you have been able to solve the case now?
Yes, we had received credible intelligence today that 2 people had been seen walking away from the same fields during the time of occurrence of the incident. On that information, we had nabbed those culprits from Pathakpura Ilaka of which falls under this police station. And one of them has confessed. One of them is a minor and the other one is a major adult person. He has confessed that he had been knowing these girls since the lockdown period. Both of them used to go to their own fields every day, sit, gossip and share eatables and drinks also. And during the course, he fell in love with a girl. He asked for the number and he proposed to the girl. The love was not returned. The girl refused to share her phone number with this person. In jealousy and in anger, he planned this incident.
खेत में अपनी बिट्टी को हमने खोला अपने हाथ से, दुपट्टा से ने हमारी बिट्टी बांधी रहा है, हाथ नटाई। हमने अब कोई नहीं रहा है, हम और जी बिटिया एक भर्ती उनकी माँ और हमारा आदमी हमने खोला है 3 जनीन को। जो बिटिया भर्ती है इसके श्वास चलत रहा है, दुपट्टे जो गर्दना में परे रहे वही दुपट्टन से हाथ गर्दना कसे रहा।
आप खुद देखा था आपने?
हम अपने हाथे सर खोला, अपने हाथे खोला है।
Now, amid the rising fuel and diesel prices, the opposition has trained its guns at the Modi government, accusing them of fleecing citizens. Upping the ante against the centre, Congress staged protests at multiple places, while BJP's ally JDU also spoke out, raising concerns over the fuel price hike.
Fuel prices at a historic high. 11 consecutive days of a price hike. Petrol prices above the 100 rupee mark in many states. The opposition is now training its guns on the Narendra Modi government at the centre, accusing it of robbing citizens to fill its coffers.
Fuel loot has become the mantra of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Modi ji clearly says, "Hum do, hamare do, diesel 90, petrol 100." 20 lakh crore have been fleeced from people of India, from middle and salaried class, from farmer over last 7 years by Modi government by taxes on petrol and diesel. Where has that money gone?
The Congress, in an attempt to corner the government on an issue that affects the masses, has staged protests in many parts of the country. It has called a Bandh in Madhya Pradesh on Saturday. The politics over fuel prices, incidentally, has put Bollywood stars in the line of fire in Maharashtra. The state Congress chief threatened to block the shooting of films starring actors who had criticized the UPA government over fuel prices but are conspicuously silent now.
कच्चे तेल के दाम कम होने के बाद भी जिस तरह से डीजल पेट्रोल के दाम बढ़ाकर हिंदुस्तान की जनता के जेब काटने का महापाप भाजपा की नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार जो कर रही है, आप क्यों नहीं बोल रहे हैं? अब अगर वो नहीं बोलेंगे या न्याय के विरोध में नहीं बोलेंगे तो हम महाराष्ट्र में अमिताभ बच्चन का शूटिंग, अभी अक्षय कुमार की शूटिंग या उनके पिक्चर भी रिलीज नहीं होने देंगे।
The Congress's stand, however, is not endorsed by its ally, the Shiv Sena.
उनकी जो प्रतिक्रिया आई है उसके ऊपर मैं कोई टिप्पणी या प्रतिक्रिया नहीं देना चाहता। पिछले 2-2.5 महीने से किसान वहां आंदोलन कर रहे हैं। बहुत बड़ी सर्दी थी, ठंड था, उस वक्त आपने ठंड पानी के बौछारें ऊपर मार दी। अब ये सारे महानुभाव शांति क्यों बनाए रखे थे, क्यों खामोश थे, ये मेरा सवाल है।
Patole's outburst against Bollywood has given the BJP a handle to fire back at the Maharashtra Vikas Aghadi.
महाराष्ट्र सरकारमध्ये आम्ही असताना आम्ही टॅक्सेस ऍडजस्ट केले होते, त्याने कुठलंही आर्थिक नुकसान होत नाही। जो अधिकचा फायदा आहे तो फायदाच केवळ त्या ठिकाणी कमी होतो। महाराष्ट्र सरकार जाणीवपूर्वक या ठिकाणी हे करत नाहीये। उलट मागच्या बजेटमध्ये महाराष्ट्र सरकारने त्याच्यावरचे टॅक्सेस वाढवलेले आहेत आणि कॅस्केडिंग इफेक्टने त्यामुळे अच्छे पैसे महाराष्ट्रातल्या लोकांना द्यावे लागतात।
सोनिया गांधी को अमिताभ बच्चन और अक्षय कुमार से माफी मांगनी चाहिए और महाराष्ट्र के कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष नाना पटोले के खिलाफ कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए।
What would worry the BJP is the divide within its camp. Ally JDU has joined the opposition in raising questions over soaring fuel prices.
नीतीश कुमार जी पहले ही इस पर अपनी चिंता व्यक्त कर चुके हैं। हम जेडीयू सहयोगी दल होने के नाते चाहते हैं कि बढ़ी हुई कीमतें वापस ली।
तो इसके लिए सरकार को कुछ कदम उठाने चाहिए।
हाँ, बिल्कुल उठाने चाहिए और मजबूती के साथ जो सामान्य जन है, जो गरीब है, जो उपभोक्ता है, उसके आर्थिक हितों का ध्यान रखना चाहिए।
After farmers' agitation, the opposition parties have been quick to latch on to the fuel price hike issue to target Modi government. Congress party will soon launch a nationwide digital campaign while its leaders will hit the road. With camera person Krishan Kumar, this is Anand Patel in New Delhi for India Today.
COVID-19 cases are again rising in Maharashtra. After 75 days, Maharashtra has reported more than 5,000 new COVID cases on Thursday, with 5,427 new cases in the last 24 hours. The state's tally of confirmed cases went over 20,81,000 cases. 38 fatalities have taken the death toll up to 51,669. The state had reported 5,229 infections on December 4th, which had been followed by also a gradual drop in cases. Along with an addition of 823 COVID cases, Mumbai yesterday recorded the highest single-day spike in infections since December. Mumbai, which was recording less than 500 cases at the start of the week, saw its daily case count cross the 700 mark in the last 2 days. With rising cases, strict restrictions have been imposed in Amravati and Yavatmal as well as Akola districts. The Amravati administration has announced a weekend lockdown in the district from 8 p.m. onwards tonight to 7 a.m. on Monday. The district collectors of the 3 districts I mentioned have been directed to undertake preventive measures and declare containment zones in the areas where the number of patients are high. India has achieved the target of 1 crore vaccine doses. But how can the world's largest immunization drive pick up pace further to ensure that we achieve the target of 30 crore vaccinations by July? Here's a detailed report on the problems that must be addressed.
In terms of the South Africa variant, in India, the strain has been detected in 4 South Africa returnees in January 2021, 1 from Angola, 1 from Tanzania and 2 from South Africa. All travelers and contacts have been tested and quarantined. Now the Brazil variant of SARS-CoV-2, it is also known as 20J/501Y.V3. A single case of variant strain detected in Brazil returnee in the first week of February 21. The traveler and contacts have been tested and quarantined.
The announcement of new variants, once again an unknown enemy knocking at our doors. Added to this, the pandemic surging in Maharashtra, with strict restrictions announced in at least 3 districts of the state. The picture is far from rosy. The COVID-19 pandemic is throwing up new challenges every single day. Vaccine watchers and medical experts say that effective vaccination is going to be one weapon in our arsenal to tide over this wave. But there has to be a mid-course correction. Experts have highlighted that at the current rate of vaccination, India will not be able to reach its aim of inoculating 30 crore people by July.
In the first month, we've administered just over 8 million doses. That's a deficit of 92 million doses. And that kind of a backlog will become insurmountable very quickly. The vast majority of India's healthcare apparatus is in the private sector, and we need to privatize a part of India's vaccine distribution while also making sure it's free for those who need it at the point of care. And if we do this, we can out-vaccinate the virus and its more transmissible variants. We need to take advantage of the fact that transmission is low right now. It's not necessarily going to stay low. And we need to vaccinate and immunize and protect the most vulnerable very, very quickly.
Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan has said India would vaccinate 1 crore healthcare workers, 2 crore frontline workers and 27 crore people above the age of 50 by July later this year. The government intends to launch CoWIN 2.0 also to open it up for beneficiaries, but problems with the CoWIN app remain. Experts say that till the time the problems are rectified, we must play on our strengths.
Any technology should be used only as a supplementary tool, not as the main source for doing something as massive as vaccination program here. India has great strengths in doing micro-planning, and our strength is our health workers doing this universal immunization program for last so many decades. I think it's important to use these strengths and use CoWIN as a tool to understand the logistic and distribution. So CoWIN should stay, but then the priority should be using our strengths of micro-planning and health workers.
What are the other areas of concern? And what can be done to ensure that more doses are given out and a large number of beneficiaries are inoculated sooner? Suggestions are that the government must consider giving doses 8 to 12 weeks apart instead of 28 days. The World Health Organization is also in favor of this. This eventually will help us cover more people. The other option is expanding high-risk group coverage, expand the number of vaccination sites and bring in the private sector.
Opening private sector is the need of the hour, and this will reduce the burden on government healthcare system. More people will be saved by vaccination, which will further increase the vaccine confidence.
How can India really then change the course of the pandemic?
One of the things we need to do is do away with the pre-authorization process. If walk-in sessions are made available and private sector is involved, we should be able to ramp up to 7 to 10 million doses per day. If we are able to do that, the vulnerable population, those who are elderly and those who have comorbidities, if we are able to cover them within the next 3 months, then India is in the right position to change the course of this pandemic forever.
The government is trying to roll out more vaccines to the people of the country in weeks and months to come, but right now only one vaccine has got emergency use authorization. The second has got emergency use authorization in a clinical trial mode. The effort really is to deal with vaccine hesitancy and get more and more people come to the vaccination booths. But there are new problems every single day. There are new variants of the infection that have entered India already. Plus, there are areas that are seeing a surge all of a sudden of cases of COVID-19, and all of this is only adding to the problems. In New Delhi with video journalist Mahesh, Sneha Moldani for India Today.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.